2022 is over. It's been over for about a month now, which is kind of ridiculous to think about. But before we move on to the future, let's take a glance at the past one more time and talk about our favorite figures, not only mine, but yours as well. So this is Zuko, and join me as we talk about the best figures of the year. Now, as you can tell by the length of this video, we're in for a long one, so sit back and relax, and let's get started. I am going to start off with my opinion. I think that makes sense, and I've laid a couple of ground rules just to keep this, kind of controlled, you know what I'm saying? I have two restrictions, right? One, I had to actually have bought the figure this year. I think that makes sense, but I did unbox a few that I bought a couple years back, like the Toho Vania figures, the Shuten Doji 3rd Ascension figure, and maybe some others, but I'm not recalling them at this time. But yeah, had to have bought them this year. The other rule, which I think makes sense, is that I actually had to have opened the figure, you know what I'm saying? Like, I bought a lot of figures this year, but there is a good chunk of them that I just never got around to opening for various reasons. Whether or not I was busy or I was saving it for a specific video, it just didn't happen in 2022. So figures such as the Grim Aloe Succubus Cheerleader or the Rika figure from the very beginning of the year from Good Smile Company, two figures I think had a real big potential for showing up on my list, just really can't because I don't have that first-hand experience. But that being the case, everything else is pretty much up for grabs, and I'm going to be doing a top 5 with a couple of honorable mentions. So technically make this a top 8 because we're going to be talking about 8 figures this evening. I was thinking about plopping them on the desk and having them here to showcase them, but I'm just going to use the B-roll instead. I think the footage will look better anyway. So yeah, let's get started. First figure I want to talk about, honorable mention number 1, is the Taiga Freeing Bunny figure. Now, I'm the kind of guy where if you show me a Taiga figure, I'm probably going to buy it. I am very easily persuaded in that way because Taiga means a lot to me. Like, I love that show, I love the character, and truth be told, Taiga is the reason I started collecting in the first place way back in 2011. So needless to say, if a Taiga figure is coming out in the current year, I'm likely going to be getting it. And I'm really happy at how this figure turned out. Is it spectacular? No. Is it anything special? Not really, but it's exactly as advertised. It is Taiga in a bunny suit, and it looks exactly like her. There's only really 2 things Freeing had to do to make sure this figure came out perfectly, and that's nail the face and nail the hair, and they did both. She looks exactly like the anime, and I love this face. Her expression is on point, and I love how they nailed the eyelashes. I think that is a really, underrated detail when it comes to making a Taiga figure. Some of them just don't really get that aspect of her eyes correctly. And as for her hair, it's like that giant voluminous sculpt that you would expect, but it really is nice in person when you look at this figure. And that's basically all they had to do because the rest of the figure is a, pretty standard bunny, and I'm fine with that, right? It's as advertised, it looks exactly like the prototype, and as a Taiga fan, I'm extremely happy with it. It's also great that this figure came out just before Freeing decided to get a little cuckoo bananas with their pricing. She costs somewhere in the 20,000s, I want to say 25, 27,000, something like that. And I would say that's very reasonable these days, considering, the recently put up Power figure is 39,000 if I'm correct. And that is quite the price hike, considering Taiga, I would argue, has more plastic involved, considering her hair is gigantic. Not to, hate on the Power figure or anything. I actually think that's a really nice looking bunny, but as someone who doesn't really collect bunny figures, in fact, this is my only one, the cheaper price tag is more attractive, you know what I'm saying? But it does bum me out that Freeing kind of just made this figure not as exciting as it should have been, because 2 months later, they decided to release a variant of the figure, or should I say put up a pre-order for a variant on this figure, and made everyone decide, I don't know if I need this figure anymore. And it really goes to show you that there is a lot of fear when it comes to bunny figures. That fear of missing out is so real. And it's unfortunate because I think it really plays into what bunny figures people buy. And it really just makes you pay attention to the speculative market when it comes to bunny figures. You kind of do that with all figures anyway, just because of the nature of the hobby. But every single bunny, I feel like people are going to think about, should I get this now? Should I get it later? Is it going to bin? Is it going to skyrocket? Because it can go either way. But in Taiga's case, you don't have to worry about that anymore because people are trying to unload this figure to get the Tiger variant. And will that be the better figure? I don't know. We don't actually have to wait much longer because she does have a release date now of February 8th, I'm pretty sure. Very early in February at the very least. And despite being initially angry at that new variant because I just bought the bunny figure and I liked it, but this new one could be potentially better, I did end up pre-ordering it because that's like, you know, one of my favorite characters. We are kind of being taken for fools by the company, and I don't blame them, right? If we're gonna buy the product, then why should they stop? Like, we can get mad at them for doing these things, but at the end of the day, like, they're just a company trying to make money, and we are so willing to buy from them that it's never gonna stop. So, you know, I would say I am in the wrong, honestly, for buying the new version of it, because I do feel like I'm getting taken advantage of, but, you know, it's the only other freeing figure I'm likely going to buy unless they make something really special, which I guess I could talk, you know, another time about. But still, for the bunny figure, I think it's great. I think if you have it, you shouldn't be so fast to get rid of it. I think it's a great representation of the character. She is very cute, and, you know, it's nice to have a really big Taiga figure as well, because a lot of the older ones are in the 1/8 scale, and just to jump to a 1/4 scale, it's pretty impressive if you have other Taiga figures in your collection. So, yeah, honorable mention number 1 is Taiga. That's a pretty long honorable mention, so let's move on to the next figure. Alright, number 2 is Mona from Genshin Impact. I actually adore this figure, and it's pretty surprising how well this one turned out. Not because of the company, but because of how many they actually had to produce. This was an extremely popular release, maybe the most popular release of the year. A little hard to say, I don't have the metrics, but it certainly feels like everybody wanted this figure. And the fact that they didn't really run into any quality control issues at all, as far as I'm aware, it seems like everybody was pretty happy with this figure, is pretty commendable. Wonderful Works did an extremely good job with this figure. You know, we all came for the booty, but we ended up staying for the amazing quality. Like, this is a phenomenal looking piece. It really stands out in your collection. The colors of this figure really pop. They're very vibrant, but also mix in these really nice soft purples. The only complaint I have with this figure, which everybody kind of does, is the base, but it's such an afterthought. You really don't look at that base whenever you look at Mona, because even when you like kind of go down the figure after you're done staring at her butt and you look at her lovely hair and her giant hat and all that stuff, you see that nice swirling effect piece of water, and it looks amazing. Like, I think they did a really good job and only asked like 16,000 yen for this figure. That is the craziest part. This figure is so affordable for the quality that you're getting, and I think that makes it one of the figures to get, even if you're not, you know, a Genshin Impact fan. Like, I'm certainly not. I just like the design of Mona. She gets so much artwork, and I am a connoisseur of that, if you will. I think she is a lovely character. I got a couple other favorites from the series, and I hope they do get figures. I know Ganyu is getting one pretty soon, and I did order it, so I'm hoping that one turns out well. She might even be out in China at this point, but I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, you know, this figure is just a treat to look at. It's got that like slight dynamism to it. Like I said earlier, the shading on this one is great. All the little like details on her outfit, they made sure to sculpt all the individual components and intricacies and jewelry and whatnot on her outfit, or I don't know, whatever you would call some of the symbols on her outfit and the leotard and whatnot. Just a fun figure to look at, and I really do like it, and I would recommend it to anybody. And number 3 is Rize from Trials of Mana, a bit of an underdog, right? And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna go on record here. I think this figure, in terms of the quality, is outstanding. I think it's a 10 out of 10, almost across the entire board. This figure is beautiful, and I struggle to think of ways Flare could have done a better job with this figure. Just that lush green vibrancy that is just kind of all over her dress, and her lovely hair, that gigantic sculpt of beautifully blonde hair. She's got this really pretty doll-like face. Her skin is very fair and supple looking. She is just beautiful across the board. And it really just exudes quality. This figure just looks amazing. It's really impressive if you've seen this one in person. So why isn't it in my top 5? Well, it's because I'm a little salty about it, because this figure bargain binned immediately. And I mean, that is kind of the game you play when you pre-order figures. It might bargain bin, it might skyrocket, you don't really know. But there was a good chance this one was going to bargain bin, and I was kind of hoping it wouldn't be so bad. But man, it bargain binned so hard and so fast that I can't help but be a little bit upset about my purchase. Like, I overspent on this figure, where if I waited 1 month, I could have gotten it like at least 50 bucks cheaper. I think at this point, you could find it very easily for like 10,000 yen. Shipping, will add a little bit to that, but a lot of people carry this figure and don't ask, very much for it. And I do think that's a shame. I think the quality could even be more than what they asked for, honestly. Like, she really is that good in my opinion. But, that's just not the case, because I think a couple of reasons, actually. One, Flare kind of does overproduce their figures from time to time. And two, Trials of Mana just isn't that popular. And it's weird, right? Because Square Enix, they have all these prolific big IPs, and they'll only do in-house stuff for, say, Final Fantasy. But when it comes to, say, Nier Automata or Trials of Mana, they'll outsource them to companies that we all love, like Flare, and they'll make these beautiful scales that are so much nicer, honestly, so much nicer than the stuff that, Square Enix does in-house. It kind of sucks, right, that Final Fantasy just doesn't really have a nice scale figure. Like, don't you ever think about, man, why don't I have a nice Cloud Strife? It's because, they're so strict on the licensing. But when it comes to, the smaller titles that they produce, even though I wouldn't call something like Nier a small title, they're willing to give it to other companies, and the end result is, 10 times better. So, it's to your benefit that this figure really bargain bin, because I think she's absolutely worth it. People were worried that she was going to lean over time. I've had her on display for 7 months now, and she has not leaned at all. She looks exactly like, the day I took her out of the box and put her on the base. And I'm not really worried about that, but, it could happen. I'm not going to say it won't. I don't want to be the reason you buy something and then it's faulty, but, I think she's a great figure. But, yeah, I'm a little salty at the outcome, so I can't, deny my feelings for it. But it is still a fantastic piece nonetheless. And with that, we are ready to talk about our top 5. Now, this next figure was a little hard to place. I wasn't really sure where I thought she belonged. I kind of wanted to put her in my number 1 spot. I think her quality is that good, but there's some problems with this figure where I feel like I just can't do it. This figure is very, for a lack of a better word, problematic, and it really hurts me that I have to say that. But unlike all the other figures that I'm going to talk about today, I'm actually going to bring her out because this is kind of the first time I'm ever showcasing this figure. But I did talk about her in the unboxing video I just did, so you might know what I'm talking about. So let me go get that and place her here, and then we'll continue the video. I gotta be real careful with this one. Let me just place her somewhere around here. That should be good. It might look a little blurry, or maybe the angle's not perfect, but I'm gonna be using B-roll in a minute to showcase her off a little bit better. In fact, she doesn't have her ponytail, and there's her gohei that's supposed to go in her hand. I will explain in a minute. But this is the Reimu Hakurei Toho Lost Word figure, one of my most anticipated figures ever. It got delayed a whole year, and it's finally here. And unfortunately, there is a fatal flaw with this figure. Now, if we just judge the sculpts, it's breathtaking. This figure is phenomenal in every single way when you look at Reimu's character, when you look at the effect pieces, when you look at the paint job, her face, her hair. Everything looks sublime on this piece. It really is spectacular, and I love everything pretty much about it. I don't want to talk about this figure in detail too much because I still do want to review this figure, but I feel like you take for granted these effect pieces when you see them in their promotional photos, but when you unbox this figure and you put her all together, which was actually very easy despite how this looks, you really get a feel for how nice these effect swirls are. They're very big and chunky and colorful and very pretty to look at, and they really add to the whole composition. They don't get in the way, they're not distracting, they only make her look better. I think whoever came up with this figure, whoever designed it in general, I think they need a freaking raise. But whoever was in charge of the base, they should probably get demoted or something. I mean, that might sound a little harsh, but this figure you can't fully appreciate because a lot of people who buy this figure, it just breaks out of the box. And if it doesn't break out of the box, it might just break over time. And that's why I just can't really like this figure as much as I want to. So just to be more specific, that white peg that's coming off of the yin-yang symbol, eventually that's going to pop out. And, as a result, Reimu is going to fall face first, and there is a lot of potential for things to break, to crack, to snap. There are a lot of small pieces on this figure, and even if nothing did break, the base still would be broken, and therefore you would not be able to display the figure. I've actually been stress testing this figure, which is why I haven't made the review yet. I've just placed her on my carpet with some pillows around her in case she eventually does fall off of the base. I don't feel comfortable displaying this figure because I think it will eventually just snap, and that will make me extremely depressed because it's a $200 figure, and I do think it's gorgeous. I do want to stress how much I like the sculpt and the colors of this figure, but I just don't know when this is going to go off and this figure is going to explode, essentially. I thought I was in the clear because I had her up for a couple of weeks, but I saw somebody on MFC saying that like their figure finally snapped or broke off, and I asked them how long it took, and they said 2 months. 2 months? You're telling me this figure could just break at any moment? Like, I'm not safe ever? And I don't really know what to do, because I actually like took someone's pre-order for this. I did have her pre-ordered on AmiAmi, but that was gonna cost way more in terms of shipping, so I took someone's pre-order from the Good Smile Global site, and I'm sure they would help me if something broke, but right now I don't know what to do, because I kind of want to get a new base. They are offering replacements, but who even knows if the replacement is any better? Like, I don't know what they did. They all look the same. So it's a very stressful figure. I can't feel comfortable having this out or in my Detolf shelves, because if she falls, good chance she's gonna break. But I feel like I might be going in circles with this figure. Gorgeous, amazing, very scary, and for that reason, while I do want to make the review, if you just want my opinion right now, I don't know if I could recommend it. In fact, I guess I'll just say I don't recommend it, unless you really just want to play the gamble of maybe having this figure break, but like, that doesn't feel worth it. That really doesn't feel worth it. It's a big shame. This figure really deserves better, and I hope I don't run into that flaw, but who knows? Yeah, that's a bit of a weird... It's a bit of a weird top 5 pick for best of the year, but I'm just being true to my feelings. I love this character. I love this figure. The base usually is like an afterthought for me, but it really just doesn't let you enjoy her. But I did want to talk about it. I do think it's important to point that out in case you were looking at this or you wanted my opinion of it and I've been taking a long time. So yeah, that's my 5. I guess I'm just going to leave her here. She does make for a nice set piece. She is very colorful after all. And if she does fall over, I do have it on camera. And I guess you'll get to cry with me if that happens. But I promise everything from here on out is much more positive. So number 4 is Millia from Xenoblade Chronicles. Now, truth be told, I actually did not play Xenoblade Chronicles before pre-ordering this figure. I just knew that Pyra and Mythra were hard to find, and I didn't want that to happen again if I ended up liking the game, so I just secured my pre-order on the US site. And, you know, by the time the figure did come out, I did play through the game, and I thought it was stellar. It was one of the best JRPGs I've played in recent times, and one of the few, modern JRPGs that I really got into. I guess I'm just more of an old school JRPG guy, but this game, man, was something else, and I pretty much loved every single minute of it. And it was really that made me solidify my love for this figure. Because at the end of the day, I am collecting figures for the most part. You know, I do break this rule every now and then. I really do aim for things that I just really resonated with, things that I really love, the media, the anime, the video games that just mean something to me. And Xenoblade Chronicles ended up being just that. I adore that game, and I think Good Smile Company hit this one out of the park. She is beautiful. I know I call figures beautiful from time to time, but I really do think this is the best word to describe Millia. Her face is so pretty. Honestly, everything from the neck up is just gorgeous. Her eyes, her hair, her wings, that pearlescent headpiece, everything is just amazing up there. And I feel like the reason this figure didn't really pop off like Pyra and Mythra did is probably because of 2 things. One, I don't feel like the colors are necessarily as eye-catching as, say, Pyra and Mythra. And there's also the fact they're a bit more sexier, right? They're showing much more of their legs. Their booba are a bit bigger, right? They're more attractive figures in that nature as well. Millia feels like the kind of figure that only someone who really likes Xenoblade is going to pick up, and I do feel like that is a large amount of people. This figure didn't do bad by any means, but it never really reached that desirability that the other 2 girls did. Though now that they overproduce those figures, that's not really the case anymore, but it doesn't really matter. Millia is still worth the price without a doubt. I think they did a fantastic job with her. The way I see it from afar, this figure really isn't going to impress you, but when you get closer to the figure, you really start to see how nice of a sculpt this figure has. Like, Good Smile Company put in their A game on this one. Like, all these little details on her outfit, and just like those individual strands of hair that are making up those like crazy swirly hoops that she has, which just look gorgeous. She also just has a lot of design elements that are unique to just her. Stuff like the hair and the headband are things I've already talked about, but she's got that spear/staff. She got that weird skirt diamond thing. I don't even really know how to describe that. The grassy base was surprisingly well done. Like, that could have went south, but they really did a good job just capturing that like outdoor environment kind of feel with this figure. Like, you could convince yourself that this is on the Bionis, on the Gower Plains or whatever, and it does have that like outdoorsy vibe, and I think that's very fun for a figure to have. And yeah, I mean, she's breathtaking. This is a really nice looking figure. No matter what I say though, I really do feel like this figure is only for the people who played Xenoblade Chronicles, but if you did play Xenoblade Chronicles, then I think this is a must-get. Like, you gotta go out and get this figure because she is absolutely worth it. Number 3 is a figure that is very sentimental to me. This is from a game that I have a lot of cherished memories with my brothers playing throughout my childhood, or I guess my early teen years, and that is Tales of Symphonia's Lloyd Irving. Now, obviously, this figure did not come out this year, but I did purchase it this year, so make that the one figure that didn't actually come out in 2022. I've talked about this one a lot, but I don't think I stressed the point on why I skipped out on this figure, and I want to talk about that right now, because I think it might be relatable to some people. And it's a little silly, but just like, you know, listen to me and maybe you'll understand where I'm coming from. If you've been collecting for a bit, then you've definitely realized the ratio between female figures and male figures. We get way more female figures from these Japanese companies, and while they are starting to realize that we do want male characters, it's coming at a slow rate, and you really just gotta buy them to make sure that these companies know that, hey, we mean business, we're gonna give you our money, and, you know, that'll just hopefully make them listen, right? But back in the day, I would say it was even worse. Like, from 2011 till 2015, when Lloyd actually came out, my collection was like 98% female characters. That is my preference still to this day, but it really skewed my opinion on Lloyd. I just felt like, why would I buy this figure when he's not gonna, you know, mesh with my collection very well? There was just this brain fog in my head, clouding my judgment, making my opinions worse, not really being truthful to myself. This was a character from a game that I clearly liked, a video game I replayed and beaten so many times. I love Tales of Symphonia, so why wasn't I buying this figure? It was simply because I convinced myself that the female figures would make me happier, and after selling many of my figures that I impulse bought, I realized I wasn't really collecting the right way, or at least to myself, I wasn't collecting, you know, true to myself. So eventually I did find this figure this year. I got very lucky, someone was selling it from Europe, and I got a great deal. Even with shipping included, it was like $100 less than buying it from America for some reason, or Japan. I don't remember the price off the top of my head, but I was very happy with the price, whatever that price was. And yeah, it lived up to the hype. I don't think this figure really matches Alter's, you know, current day quality. It does look a little bit more simplistic, right? But it is very clean. It's still very vibrant. Those like bright reds that make up the entire outfit that he's wearing. That cool pose that he's in where he's got his swords out of the sheets. He's got them all stanced up. The wind's blowing, as you can see from his hair, and the tassels around his neck are just flowing in the breeze. I just love the presence of this figure. It's only a 1/8 scale, but it does really catch your eye and does demand your attention. The only thing I guess I would complain about, if I have to, even though I shouldn't in a top 5 favorite figures, is that because it's part of the Altair line, they did kind of pretty him up a little bit. He doesn't look exactly as I would want him to from like the game's official art, or even the in-game cutscenes, or the anime cutscenes rather, but it really is a small nitpick and a small price to pay for what is otherwise a phenomenal piece. And a lesson learned. You should really, you know, at least for me, I should really buy figures that mean something to me. That's kind of like where I'm at with collecting right now. I want to, I guess, rectify the mistakes of my past, things I've skipped out on. Even if they cost a lot of money, I feel like they would still make me happier than just impulse buying the really pretty, cute things that come out this year. I'm trying my best, but every now and then temptation does get the best of us. So yeah, I didn't really talk a lot about this figure in this video. I did make an entire review technically about this figure, but this one's really just special to me because of, I guess, the memories that it holds for me, and just like the real reason behind why I collect in the first place. Alright, number 2 is my biggest surprise of the year. I was very shocked not only to find out how nice this figure turned out, but also just how happy it made me buying it and like looking at it every day, and that is Korone from Spirit Tail. Now, Spirit Tail at the time, which was only, what, like 6-7 months ago? I don't remember the exact month this came out, but, you know, they weren't really proven at that point. The company only produced 2 figures of Miku, I believe, and neither one really wowed anybody. There was specifically a lack of shading in those figures that people were very quick to point out. People who bought those figures were mostly happy, but anyone looking from the outside just wasn't really impressed, and that was very much me. I was judging without really owning the figure, which is fine, right? Like, these photos are being uploaded so that you can make a judgment call, see if you want to buy the figure and whatnot. But I always was looking at this figure because I really do like Korone. I'm not super into VTubing. I do watch a couple of them, like, you know, Korone or Iron Mouse and stuff like that. But I'm not, like, you know, crazy about the whole genre and whatnot. I just don't have the time really to keep up with it. Though I do appreciate, you know, how many new streamers there are out there, and a lot of them are very entertaining. But yeah, Korone is my favorite of them all. I really do find her streams entertaining, even if I can't, you know, actually tell what's exactly going on in some of those streams. But she's still cute, she's still adorable, she's still very funny, and I just really liked the sculpt of this figure, but I couldn't tell if I was going to like the end product because of all the other figures that came out before her. Well, as soon as she did come out, it seemed like this was going to be a winner. So I guess only like a couple days after she officially released, I made an order on AmiAmi. She came to me, I did a review for her, and I fell in love with it. I think the most important thing about this figure is how well they capture her likeness and her personality, which I think, you know, getting one of those down isn't too hard, but doing both so well is harder than you think sometimes. Like, it just looks exactly like her, and her face is actually perfection. It is so adorable. And again, this is why I feel happy when I look at this figure. Her face is so damn cute. I really can't get enough of how nice this face is. I do think, you know, like the other Miku figures, they could have done a little bit with the shading on the hair specifically, and I think this is just a way that Spirit Tail does their hair. They kind of go for this, like, almost flat with like a little bit of translucent plastic to kind of like hide the lack of shading that they're applying, but it still doesn't look bad, and I think it's to Korone's benefit that she doesn't have very long hair, or it might stand out more. But the rest of the colors are very vibrant. It's a real shocker that this figure is amplified so much by bread pieces. That is such an odd accessory to slap onto a base. I know there is a connection with bread and Korone, but you wouldn't think that would be such a highlight for a figure, but in fact it actually is. All 4 of those pieces really do make this figure feel like it's actually worth the price tag for some reason. They look really nice. Some of them are very shiny. Some of them just have like extreme detail to make them look a bit realistic. They just did a really good job with those bread pieces for some reason, and I guess it does make the figure better, so I'm happy that they did put in the effort. But yeah, I mean, that's just a small component to the overall piece. She's also really big looking. I don't know if it's just me, but she looks more like a 1/6 scale, which does make her price feel a little bit better. Like, if I were to place her near my 1/7, her head looks gigantic in comparison. But yeah, it's really that like cheerful, playful, energetic aura that this figure has that really just enamors you. It really makes you like the figure. I guarantee if you like this figure at all, or rather the character at all, you will adore this one. I don't know, that figure's just too cute. Like the asymmetrical socks not really being pulled up on her legs correctly, the hand pose with the yellowed fingernail paint. I love that. Her skin is super smooth. I forgot she had the super smooth skin until I looked at her just now. Just things about this figure that you might not think about too much, but they really do add up to just like the perfect Korone package. So, who could it be? Who is my favorite figure of 2022? If it can't be Reimu because of her unfortunate flaw, or Melia, or Korone, who else is possibly left? Well, I think you guys might know where this is going if you follow this channel, and I don't want to hear it. I know I just reviewed this figure in January, but I obviously unboxed it in December to get you guys the footage, and then I had to write the script and blah blah blah. It takes a lot of time, but of course I am talking about the Shuten Doji Festival Portrait version by Q's Q. A figure that I said nothing but nice things about. This figure blew me away. The quality is above all else. I absolutely love this one. I don't really think I even have words to describe how much I like this figure. I certainly tried in my review, and I would really appreciate it if you check that review out when you're done watching this video if you want to know more about her, as I did try pretty hard on that review. I think it turned out pretty nicely. But yeah, that is such a breathtaking figure. And I know it's not for everybody. I know some people don't really like the design of the dress, specifically the sleeves, maybe the nails kind of creep them out or whatever. But if that's not an issue for you and you like Shuten Doji, then man, you gotta get that figure. That is such a beautiful piece. It is amazing. I can't believe Q's Q turned out such a nice figure without any real flaws. I did have that one tiny one on her horn, but I'm gonna, forgive that. Not a big deal. I can't really see it when I'm displaying her correctly. She's actually somewhere down here now, and she looks lovely. Yeah, it's really just that mix of different, finishes, the mattes and the metallic pieces. All of those metallic pieces are so well painted. I can't believe they're not messy at all. I don't understand how they were able to just make this for the price and there's no sloppiness whatsoever. It's nuts. It's really nuts to me. Her face is amazing. I love her expression. Her hair looks great. The hat is adorable while also being super intricate. It's got this really beautiful feather on it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know. It feels weird to just talk about this figure because I just did, and I'm trying to think of things I didn't say, but I feel like I said everything about it. I don't know, if you're a big fan of unique outfits with really nice striking colors, and you just kind of like this design, you're into legs because oh my god, the legs on this figure are gorgeous, then you got to at least look into this figure. It might be for you, and it's really reasonably priced at 20,000 yen, and I think it might be closer to 18,000 on Amazon Japan. I am turning into a gigantic simp for Shuten Doji, but I don't think you need to be. If you just like Fate, if you just like unique character designs, it's got that unique charm thanks to the Jiangshi aesthetic. You're not really gonna get many figures that look like this, probably because they don't really have many Jiangshi characters that are very popular in media. The only one that I'm very familiar with is Shenko. I'm sure there's some others. I know there's a Toho character. I don't remember her name off the top of my head. There's a Genshin Impact character. I think her name is Kiki or something. I think she might have gotten a posable figure, but no scale figure, so can't really count that. But yeah, you're really kind of strapped for options if you like this aesthetic. But the one option you got is an 11 out of 10. It is that good. Has my highest recommendation and is without a doubt my favorite figure of 2022. So overall, a pretty dang good year for me. I got a lot of nice figures that I opened and a lot of nice figures that I've yet to open. Plus, we got a lot of nice figures on the horizon in 2023 that I pre-ordered. Unfortunately, I have to wait a little bit longer before I can make that video for you guys. I will do it. I hope I don't pick up too many before then so that I have a beefier pre-orders video, right? But yeah, just wait a little bit longer for that one. I promise it's coming. But enough about me. I want to hear about you guys. I want to know what your favorite figures of 2022 were, and I need the computer for that, so we're going to jump over there now. I don't know how I'm going to transition from here to there, so I'll just wave at the camera, and then something will happen. Goodbye! Alright, we are here at the computer, ready to talk about your favorite figures of 2022. If you don't know what's going on, a couple weeks ago in our pre-order roundup for December, I just asked you guys to let me know what your favorite figures you picked up were over the course of the year. And a lot of you guys responded. I was kind of surprised. I did kind of guilt you a little bit, but I'm very thankful that I have 50 comments to go through, and I'm going to try to do every single one of them. If I miss one, I'm sorry. It just got lost in the sea of other comments. But I'm going to try and do my best. And if I don't read everything that you see on screen, understand that I did read your comment, but for the sake of pacing in this video, I'm just reading what's important to this, if that makes sense, okay? Let's begin. First up, we have Kaisuda. A bit late, but my favorite figures of 2022 in no particular order has to be Korone by Spirit Tail. Nice. ISA by Broccoli, and Hatsuaki by Wings Inc. Quality is amazing, and for the first two, they have striking colors and great bases. For Hatsuaki, who doesn't love a badass samurai girl on impractical heeled boots too? You know, a lot of people really like that one. I was thinking about picking it up, but I chose not to just because I had too much on my plate. But yeah, all great figures, I would say. Also, I just want to say that you're doing a stellar job with your videos. It's been over a year now. I'm going to get to that after all of these comments, but thank you very much. May, Eastream's Satoru Gojo and Aniplex's Rengoku Kyojuro. I collect JJK and KNY manga. I love displaying these two figures next to their source materials, Volume 4 and Volume 8, respectively. I would definitely do this more if I actually collected manga. I only have like 4 finished series, and I don't display them at the moment. But I think it's a great look. I think because of how uniform the manga volumes are, it just looks so clean. And I don't know, I would definitely do that with stuff I also wouldn't have to dust as much. I don't know how like much of a dust magnet and how many like little intricacies and nooks and crannies these figures have, but I have to put them behind glass if they're just a pain in the ass to dust. But I do think it's a good look. I do like that when I see other people's collections, and you should send me a picture of that because I bet it looks pretty cool. Sir Prince Person, my favorite figure from this year was the Pelicanus 1/7 by Luminous Box. I adore her design, the bone wings with the golden blue details, her transparent torso with golden blue inside, the little pelican skull on her hats, her pose, even the base with the stool and the skull lamp. And most of all, the look on her face is so enamoring and pretty, all for a super affordable price. I do know the figure that they're talking about. I am familiar with this design. I think it's super unique. And I remember watching Hot Zenny's review on her, a fellow YouTuber, and I thought it was like quite a steal for what they were offering, considering that like no other company was making a figure that looked quite like this one. And I specifically remember really liking the skulls, especially that pelican skull. I thought that just looked really rad. It's an excellent pick. I don't think everybody's gonna love it, but it's quite unique and it does stand out within the year. Jackie M, Mythos' Miku. She came out in January, so I'm counting her. That does count. But I guess sticking with the Mythos theme, I love the A to Z D figure. I don't normally get original character figures, but the whole A to Z line is pretty bomb. Well, minus the new one with the pink hair, she looks off to me. I honestly do agree. I don't really like her eyes that much, but to each their own. Radio Eva Asuka 2.0 would have probably been my pick though if she hadn't been delayed. Yeah, that was a bit of a bummer. I do have her on pre-order as well, actually. It was only a 2-month delay, and she's already out in China, so I can't imagine we have to wait much longer. But yeah, that one looks pretty spectacular from the photos that we're already seeing, and I'm quite excited to get her, as I'm sure you are as well. Also, the Mythos Miku, I think we're going to see that one later, probably. Like, I know a lot of people like that, so we'll just talk about her again when we get there. But she's amazing. Brooke Sullivan, my favorite figures were the Kurumi Tokisaki Oiran version by Katakawa and the Pelicanus by Luminous Box. Honorable mentions goes to Guts Papa Parade L. Yeah, the Guts figure probably should have been on my top 5. I don't know why I didn't put him on there, but it is a spectacular figure for the price. And another fan of Pelicanus. That figure is quite the looker. You might want to look into that one if you never heard of it before. Next up, we got Hadalisi. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. My 2 favorite pre-orders I received this year was the Hirose Yuzuha from Alpha Max, who I'm not familiar with, and the Hatsune Miku from Mythos. Like I said, we're probably going to see this character or figure again. I mean, it was just super popular. It was a beautiful figure. Didn't necessarily fit in with my collection, so I didn't pick it up. It was also a bit of a pain to get, you know, just ordering that figure in general. But it's quite the looker, and I think, like most Mythos figures, they did a fantastic job. My 2 favorite pre-owned figures I picked up this year were the Literary Type from Native, I maybe can't show that, I'm not sure, and the Chio from Q's Q. All in all, a very good year for a fellow collector like me, looking forward to 2023, as am I. Tamio the Gamer, my favorite figure I bought in 2022 was the 1/7 Ike figure by Intelligent Systems. You know, I have the Lin, and I like it quite a bit. I was going to review it, but it just never happened for whatever reason. I do have the footage somewhere on my computer, But yeah, Ike and Marth, I think both look fantastic. I think a lot of people don't like Marth as much as I do, but I think he came out great. The only reason I don't have these figures is because I was kind of expecting them to bin a little harder, like Lynn did, and that just never really happened to the same degree. So yeah, a figure I'm actually on the lookout for if the price is right, and I'm kind of just being cheap in this regard, but I do think they look fantastic, and it's a good pick for sure in 2022. Okay, I was not expecting someone to give me their top 10, but some online persona did, and I'm gonna read them off anyway because I didn't tell them not to. I might be forgetting some, but I think my top 10 for 2022 were Lamalin from Mimayoi, Shaltir from Eastream, Mash from Q's Q, Rem and Ram, the Neon City versions from Eastream, Last Triumphant from Alter, Yo and Yukino from Eastream, Formidable from Alter, Chocola and Vanilla from Flare, and Mash once again from Stronger. That's quite the lineup. I think all of those figures did deliver to at least some degree, and I think they all look great. So, nice top 10. Alexander Anderson, my highlight is without a doubt the Guts Pop-Up Parade L. The figure looks so good and it wasn't expensive at all. Ain't that the fucking truth? When I have friends over, it's the first thing they see and talk about, except for maybe the Ren and Ryugu bunny, but that one is huge. P.S. I love that bunny. It's quite a nice bunny, and the Guts Pop-Up Parade really did live up to the hype, which makes me personally very happy. He Who Says, technically not 2022, but I finally bought Mithra from Xenoblade Chronicles 2 now that I could afford her, and she is definitely my favorite bought last year. I mean, she did get a re-release in 2022, I think twice. Quite a lot of releases for these two girls, and I actually have them myself, and I never opened them, which is kind of a running trend at this point, but I picked them up like right when they were announced for Smash, so the second release, and I just didn't have a reason to open them at the time. I don't really know why I didn't. I could unbox them for you guys if you want, but it's a little late for that, so I'll have to find a reason to do that, but excellent choice. Ruru 318, my favorite figure I picked up in 2022 was the OTS-14 Ruler of the Banquet version by Apex. This character gets a handful of really nice looking figures, if I'm recalling the one you're talking about, because I can't recall seeing this figure too much. She's wearing like a really nice red sexy dress. She's got like a wine glass in her hand, and I think she's on some kind of like lounge chair. Very pretty figure, and I gotta imagine Apex delivered on it, otherwise it probably wouldn't be your favorite figure, but I mean, Apex, they're pretty dang good, so yeah, great choice. Jurflow, my Orca Toys Ippo figure. This one's very cool. I actually almost bought it for somebody else. I know there's two different versions of this, I guess correct me if I'm wrong, the normal version and the damaged version, and I couldn't decide which one I liked more, on top of the fact that it's a resin figure, so it might have been damaged if I bought it from, say, Amazon Japan, who uses kind of like thin cardboard boxes, at least from my experience. But yeah, I love Ippo. I wish Ippo got more stuff. If this figure was cheaper, I would have probably taken the plunge, but it goes on sale sometimes, so I do often look at it just in case. Hatch98, my favorite figure of 2022 was Shin Godzilla Eggman. The way it captures the train scene in the movie is done really well, and you get a light up base, which is pretty cool. I am not familiar with this one. Give me a second. I think I found it. Shin Godzilla Eggman plus Godzilla from Ezhobi. This guy looks very goofy. I love Shin Godzilla. I feel so stupid for not having seen the movie at this point. I'm not a big Godzilla guy, but I do respect the IP. And I've always wanted to watch this, but it was never on like some streaming service, so I always had to just buy the Blu-ray, and I don't really buy movies. But I like the way this guy looks. I could see myself buying this, honestly, if it was like a little cheaper, just because I like his goofy face. But yeah, I like that pick. Very unique, especially for like this video, because I don't think anybody else is gonna say this. Ryosuka Artworks, that's another name I might have said incorrectly, I apologize, but Ichihara Yuko from Emon Toys. There are some things that I wish were done differently on this figure, but it will probably be the only scale figure we will ever get from her. You know, that's a good point. Sometimes it doesn't really matter how nice the quality of a figure is, as long as it's acceptable. We will be very happy to finally get a figure of a character that we just love, or some kind of representation from the series that really influenced us. I can't really think of many figures in my collection that I'm disappointed with, but I can think of figures that only have one singular figure, and I'm just really happy to own it, such as the Invisible Boy from Moon, one of my favorite games of all time. They just randomly made that figure for the game's re-release. It was sort of like lost in Japan for a very long time, but it got a really nice figure randomly just to celebrate the game, and I don't see them ever doing that again, and it just makes me happy having him sit behind me on one of my shelves, so I totally understand where you're coming from. Honorable mentions is the Komi Nendoroid, and not released this year, but I got him this year, the Sesomaru from Hobby Max. Good stuff. Here we have Mars. My favorite figures of this year was Mythos' Jinx and B-Box's Rem. B-Box Rem was so underrated. She came out gorgeous and looks amazing on my Rem shelf. Now there's a lot of Rems out there, but if I can recall, this one has her like on a stone bridge and she's holding an umbrella. She's got a really cute face, and I would agree, that figure looks quite good, and I never really hear anybody talk about it. Mythos' Jinx is also another figure that is definitely like among one of the better figures of last year. For the price that they're asking for, and the amount of details just like all over the place, the explosions and the missiles and all that, I think she looks spectacular. And I think it's cool when Mythos actually makes a figure of a character that I'm aware of, because a lot of the times it's just like stuff from China that I'm not familiar with, or I don't know, whatever else they feel like doing that is just not really in my wheelhouse. So yeah, I can appreciate that. Good stuff. Panda Roll. My favorite of 2022 was Felicia by Kotobukiya. She was my teen crush back in the day, so totally biased. I understand completely. I love Darkstalkers. I really want them to make a Shenko one day, but it seems like I'm going to be waiting a long time for that. I also picked up the Denji Nendoroid re-release from Chainsaw Man last month. That thing was so popular, he sold out locally on day one. The shop wasn't even accepting pre-orders, demand was so high. Yeah, I was lucky enough to have read the manga, so I just picked up the first release of the Nendoroids, and I'm happy that I did, even though I'm not sure if I'll keep them, because I'm eventually going to get scales. But I think Denji's is phenomenal, like a really good sculpt for how cheap that Nendoroid is. The Chainsaw Man mode is just awesome to look at. So yeah, I don't really blame people for making the demand so high on that one, because I think it's worth it. Next up, we got Anthony Harry, my 1/7 scale Punishing Gray Raven Abyss Lucia, and Jin Mori God of High School. Oh my god, you just like unlocked a memory. I forgot they made a Jin Mori figure. Who made this? Was it, I want to guess it was Furyu, because I don't feel like the major companies like Good Smile or Alter or Kotobukiya made him. But holy shit, I just completely forgot about that. That's pretty cool. Also, I am familiar with Lucia, and she looks gorgeous, so excellent picks. Dreamy Zucchini says, I definitely got a few absolute bangers for the year, and I am tempted to say it's the Formidable 1/7 by Aniplex, but I technically got that on the first day of 2023, so I feel like it's cheating. I mean, kinda, but whatever. But if it was one I actually received in 2022, it would be the Yuji Minkei original illustration by Good Smile. I couldn't be happier with how well they delivered on the quality of that figure compared to the original photos they put out for her. Is this the one of the girl with the green hair and like the flower tattoos, and there's like that acrylic plaque behind her or something? That figure is absolutely gorgeous. I need to double check really quick before I keep talking about her. Yeah, this figure. I put it here, but there's also an image of it floating around somewhere, I'm sure. This figure is pretty breathtaking. I can't believe, how much did this figure cost? 29,000 yen? That's a lot, but I think she had discounts. I don't like the fact that she doesn't have legs, but I'm not gonna let that stop me from appreciating this figure, because holy shit. I think this one absolutely is one of the best figures of the year. Really feels like an art piece, so to speak. Again, it didn't really fit in with my like collecting, I don't know, habits and whatnot, so I didn't pick it up. But I was tempted at one point, because I think they did a phenomenal job here. Galaxy Witch. For me, I think the most blown away I had to be Apex's Ningguang from Genshin. This feels like an objective top 10 of 2022, you know what I mean? Like, if it didn't come in a giant wooden crate and the shipping wasn't ridiculous, I think sales for this figure, as good as they probably were, would have tripled, because people could have actually afforded it, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that one's just so freaking good. A personal favorite of mine was also the Persona 5 Loki version by Lucria or Mega House. And yeah, I think they've been doing a killer job with that line, and I hope the remaining few, I don't remember how many are left, come out just as good. Christopher Fon, gotta be the 02 wedding version for me, bro. Thank you as always for the roundup. No problem. This was a pretty big figure in like the community, right? And I'm surprised Good Smile Company only asked like 25,000 yen for this one, where they could have easily asked for like 35. This figure was gigantic, and it had like a big spear weapon with the bouquet on it, and it looked phenomenal, and it came out perfectly. I don't think I heard anybody complain about it. I remember watching Derek's review, DTTC, and he seemed to love it as well. So yeah, this one seemed to be a hit. I don't have it, but it does look very good from the photos that I saw, so good pick. Raven Kraus. I bought the Wonderful Works Mona, sadly still hasn't arrived. We'll be receiving her next week. Well, considering this was 12 days ago, they're probably appreciating that booty as we speak. Love that figure. Chelson, my favorite figure, or should I say statue I bought in 2022 is the Nier Automata Prime 1-2B statue. It looks amazing in pictures already, but it looks even better IRL. All the detailing and paint of the dress, base, and most importantly the face are all so well done. Yeah, Prime 1's amazing. I wish I had the space or the cash to actually buy one of these statues, but I could appreciate them from afar. And yeah, they kind of been killing it with the Nier statues, and I think they're actually making another one of 2B. Though I don't know if you would buy two, maybe. I mean, who could really deny two 2Bs in their life? That's just something that sounds grand and wonderful, right? Kinji, definitely like the Sephia figure from the Bomber Girl line. Absolutely amazing taste, and immediately pre-ordered Aqua when that one was announced. Again, amazing. At this point, I'm more than likely just gonna simp out and get the figures in that line since the designs are really good and just like the figures overall. Also, Amakuni has done a great job with its figures. Definitely one of the best companies that you can rely on pretty much every time. I mean, yeah, Bomber Girl figures are a new obsession for me. I mean, it's a pretty new franchise in general, and the figures are starting to kind of come out more frequently nowadays, but yeah. There was a problem with the Sephia figure. I hope you like contact a Good Smile Company to figure that one out, because there was like something with her heels or whatnot because they were breaking very easily, which is a shame because that figure overall does look very good. Wasn't one I picked up, but it does seem like they're working on rectifying that and giving you whatever replacement parts you need. So look out for that if you haven't been doing that, I guess. Collector in Japan. My favorite figure that I ordered in 2021, which arrived in 2022, was the F-Next Hoshiguma figure from Arknights. The amount of detail on that thing is ugh. Also, it's very hefty and it's obviously of great quality. I was impressed. This Hoshiguma figure is one of the few times I could say that F-Next did a fantastic job all around. The figure looks amazing, and they didn't overcharge for it. In fact, I would almost argue that they undercharged for it, which is really odd from that company because their prices are ridiculous. But yeah, I haven't met someone who did not like this figure if they picked it up, so I'm not surprised it's your favorite of the year. Mikan. My favorite figure from 2022 and one of my absolute favorites in general is Good Smile Company's Flandre Scarlet. I immediately fell in love the first time I saw her, and she definitely lived up to my expectations. I love how her clothes match perfectly with the little cake she's holding, the little drop of cream on her hand, the messy ribbon around her, her wings with the vibrant translucent crystals, her cute expression and pose, and most importantly, her little pumpkin friends. The candy in their mouths just looks so good. I'm also really happy they went with a nice basic acrylic base, even though it's huge. Sadly, they did not pick up the matching Remelia. Well, that's likely because this figure was originally an aquamarine figure, and they unfortunately went out of business, but it was very nice of Good Smile Company to pick up a few of their, I guess, remaining prototypes. I was so close to buying this figure, but I had to stop myself because I was already going to be getting the Alter version of Flandre, and I'm not going to say that one's better, but it just kind of like fits in with my taste a little bit more. But this figure is absolutely precious, and it's super cute, and I'm glad they did a phenomenal job with it. And it's very different for Flandre, you know what I'm saying? Like, all these figures, they really could exist at the same time because they're very different interpretations of the character. And yeah, it just, I don't know what else to say. It's cute as hell. Chibi, my favorite figure I bought from 2022 was Rengoku's 2/8, but I think they mean 1/8 scale by Aniplex. This was the same figure I think mentioned in the beginning of this video, actually. So I got a couple of Rengoku fans who watched the channel. And I don't blame him. He's got some really cool scales, and I think there's some more on the way, actually. Maybe even one from Aniplex to keep your eyes out on. But yeah, great pick. I like that figure a lot. Cosplay devotee. I'm more of a modest figure collector each year, so although I enjoy watching many different figure collectors here on YouTube, I only purchase about 1 to 3 and maybe a few Nendoroid dolls. If only we all had such constraints, I would have much more money. So my favorites are pretty limited, but I chose to purchase the QSQ Holo, and I believe she is my favorite this year. She may not be as flashy, but I've struggled to find a Holo that has the right face. They always mess up the face in my opinion. I agree. Before I read the rest of it, I agree. There are so many Holo figures that I feel like just don't look like her, but people still like them, and I think they just like the character too much to acknowledge that the scales have a little bit of flaws. But whatever, I don't want to go on a big rant. And her lively nature present in both the manga and the anime. This one just represents joy to me. She looks so happy, and how her dress hugs her body is so tasteful without making it the focus point. Her base is also lovely. I'm extremely happy with my purchase. That was a lovely paragraph, and I'm glad you enjoyed that Holo figure. Romani, my favorite figure this year was definitely the Ningguang 1/7 scale. I love everything about her pose and her face, her base, the amount of details, her box. It's a giant box, but it is gorgeous. She was the first scale figure I ever pre-ordered, and I'm so happy I managed to get her. Definitely a holy grail. That is quite the first scale figure to get, but, you know, outside of it just being an amazing figure, I guess it's always going to have that, like, sentimental value to you as well, so that's pretty nice. My second favorite figure was the Zi Lian 1/7 by Good Smile Arts Shanghai. He is simply gorgeous. I display him next to Ningguang, right next to each other, and I really enjoy looking at them. Love the comment. Kaigai Kaiju, my favorite figure of 2022, hands down, no contest. Why do they even bother making other figures when this one exists? Is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus series Dark Side of the Dimension Seto Kaiba by Mega House. This is the one. This is the one figure I'm actually jealous of, but let me just keep reading. Previous Kaiba figures have always looked a bit off to me, kind of having that uncanny valley vibe to them, but this figure blows them all out of the water. Not only does Kaiba himself just look amazing, and honestly, I'd be happy with just him alone. But no, he comes with both the Blue Eyes White Dragon and Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon materializing out of the shattering holographic background stand and coiling around him. The dynamic pose, details, and just overall presence this figure exudes definitely makes it my choice for number 1 of 2022, even despite the crippling blow to my wallet. But true to the character, Kaiba Corp products ain't cheap. Yeah, I mean, I really should have picked this one up. It was so expensive at the time, and it still is, and I don't really want to pay like the crazy shipping for this figure, but I agree, this is one of the best figures in 2022. My only complaint is that he doesn't really scale as well as I would like him to. He's a little small, but he still has a gigantic presence thanks to the Blue Eyes. Maybe one day I will pick this up. I am still, able to because he's in stock, but I don't know for how much longer, and I'm probably going to be very sad when it goes out of stock and I decide to buy it that day and I just miss out on him. But yeah, you got one hell of a figure. I am absolutely jealous of anybody who has this figure, and I'm going to move on to the next comment because I don't want to think about it anymore. I just don't. But you got good taste, buddy. You really do. Maddie, my top 3 figures of the year were Mia Karnstein from Code Vein, Texas from Arknights, and Wu Xie from Time Raiders. Tough top 3 because there were so many good ones this year, but those 3 are the ones that constantly catch my eye in my collection. Also really love the Ao Oni girl from Native, Kaching from Apex, Maple from Native, and Aruru from Freeing. A lot of nice choices there. Super Gamer Guy 64. As far as favorite figure I bought this year, technically I pre-ordered Passionate by QSQ, but she released this year, so I'll count that. She's the reason I started collecting and will remain a jewel just by her sheer size and extremely unique design. I gotta say that figure is extremely unique, and I honestly do like Passionate, so I think your taste is impeccable. Giordano Valenzuela. Honestly, I think the Genshin Impact Mona figure might be my favorite of the year. It was affordable and a great-ass sculpt. It's hard for me not to pick as my favorite for 2022. It was a great-ass sculpt, or a great-ass sculpt, depending on how you say it, but I do agree. Left Dreamer left me a very big comment. Let's see what we got. My faves of 2022 are Taito's Corful Nanachi. For a prize figure, they're really high quality and look far better than the pup in my opinion. That's a cool pick. I should look into the Corful series more because a lot of them do look good from the prototypes. Union Creative's Kokichi Oma, out of all their current Danganronpa figures, he's the best one. I think I'm inclined to agree. I like that figure, just a little small if I'm recalling correctly. And the absolute best of 2022 for me was Flare's 9S, the deluxe version, which comes with his pod, both blindfolded and unblindfolded heads, and you could take his shorts off, meaning he got the same treatment like 2B. Gender equality, yay. True. I display him with his pants on, however. The only reason I bought the deluxe at all was to be able to display him with his eyes, which look very good. His whole face does. He's also really tall, and his skin kind of feels like real skin. I know what he's going for there. Some figures just have this like really nice, peachy texture to them lately, and I'm guessing this one does as well. And despite his outfit being mostly black, Flair didn't cheap out on the details. I'd even say he's better in sculpt than 2B, especially the hair. I have seen 2B in person, but not 9S, so I'll have to take your word. But 2B was quite good looking as well, so that's quite the compliment. If you know where to look, you can also get him for $100 used, which I did. 10 out of 10 recommend. Yeah, this figure kind of bargain binned, which is surprising, but I think it's because Flair just makes a lot of their figures, and I think they just assumed so many people would want it because so many people wanted 2B as well. So they kind of went a little crazy on the stock, and yeah, you can find him kind of anywhere. His shipping's kind of high, but just shop at the right place and you could probably get a pretty good deal on him. Seems like we're running into the really big comments. Here we have Peaches for Senpai. My favorite figure released in 2022 was definitely 100% Good Smile Company's 1/7 Evanth Lazy Afternoon version from Red Pride of Eden. There were so many great figures that came out last year, and last year was the first year that I started seriously collecting figures. Before that, I just picked up figures at conventions and at my local manga store, and trust me, last year was such a loaded year. There were so many great releases and so many iconic figures, but this one in particular really stood out to me. We need some periods there or something. I really love girly things, and this figure just screamed inner me. I have an entire pink-themed room, and she fits my entire aesthetic so well. The base is so cute with the stuffed animals and the laptop and gaming equipment. I love the way that her hair is sculpted and the colors that are used and the cute lingerie she's wearing. Not to mention her wonderfully peaceful face. She just looks so pleased, but at the same time, she's so relaxed, like how I feel when I'm lazing around in my bed on a boring rainy day. Also, I'm the biggest simp for fluffy bases, so this one really screamed out my name. Not to mention the retail price for her wasn't that bad at all, at least in my opinion, for what you're getting, and definitely that helps out my crying wallet with all the pre-orders I have. Lamau. Good Smile Arc Shanghai really never misses. Well, I would say their Nendoroids sometimes miss, but their scales rarely do, and I pretty much have nothing else to say because you pretty much told me every single thing about the figure, but I agree. I think that figure is adorable, and the like soft pastel-y color palette of that figure really is pleasing to the eyes, and she was very cheap. I think she's like 17,000 yen. For what you're getting, that's quite the deal. So yeah, love the enthusiasm. I think that's the best way to put it. You seem to really love that figure. Kaif Mary, hopefully I said that right. My number one figure I got this year is probably Flair's Oki Futaba. She's been a grail of mine for a few years now, so when I found her during my Berlin vacation in a local store for retail price, I couldn't believe my eyes. That sounds like a crazy experience. I can't imagine that. Like, the only thing I can relate that to is maybe like finding a good deal on a video game, like when I'm hunting for, you know, retro stuff, but man, going on vacation so far away and finding like a Japanese figure for under the value it would go for there, that's pretty damn cool. From the ones that released this year, it's probably Good Smile's Melia, with Alter's Formidable being a close second. Melia is one of the best executed figures I've seen Good Smile do. Maybe I'm a bit biased since she's my favorite Xeno girl, but I still think almost everyone would agree on that she's beautiful. That I certainly do. My Azur Lane knowledge is kind of surface level, same, but the moment I saw Formidable painted, I knew I had to have her. And while she's definitely a bit expensive, I still have to say she was worth every cent to me. Her hair and dress sculpts are beyond amazing, and I can't stop staring at her ever since she arrived. If I had that figure, I certainly would be staring at that figure, probably for, you know, less wholesome reasons, but that hair sculpt is crazy. I really do like that hair sculpt, and even though I don't know much about Azur Lane, Formidable is one of my like favorite designs I've seen from it. I almost bought it, but I had to stop myself. I just been spending too much money lately, but I'm happy that you picked her up and that you love her. Apologies in advance, I know I'm saying this one wrong. Mouseless. My favorite figure of the year was Eastream's Rimuru Ultimate version. Just started collecting last year, and it was one of the first figures I fell in love with when I first started browsing. I assumed I wouldn't ever get it due to the price tag, but kind of bought it impulsively. Story of my life, story of everybody's life in this hobby, when the yen started weakening more. Again, that was like the time to start impulse buying. Definitely felt like a risk at the time knowing Eastream's reputation, but the thrill of buying my first Grail was too much to pass on it. The paintwork is superb, and I especially love how dynamic the pose is. This comment is interesting to me because it makes me think about my personal experiences when I first started the hobby, going out and trying to find all those figures. Nothing certainly was that expensive, which is why I think it was easier to impulse buy back then. All I was looking for was like Taiga figures and Gintama figures and some Toho stuff. And I can't imagine having to spend like $300 on each of those. But I'm happy that you bought your Rimuru. Eastream makes a lot of like really bombastic, crazy figures, and they're definitely getting better. And I think their reputation has certainly healed since the beginning. So yeah, you probably made the right choice, even if you weren't thrilled at the time to spend that much money. Ando, great video as always, Zuko. I too pre-ordered the MX-chan figure Frame 1. It's an attractive figure in all the right ways. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to include that because I really like that figure. So go pre-order that one. Don't miss out on Figure of 2023 unless it gets delayed. Then it's 2024. Anyway, in response to the best figures of 2022, I have two. First one would be the Good Smile Company Saber Mordred Clarence Blood Arthur figure. She's my favorite Fate character, and I love both the face sculpt they did for her with her ready to fight and the cool fighting pose she is in, being ready to swing her sword. However, this figure was a pain in the ass to assemble because of the tiny armor pieces I had to put in the back of her armor, and they were just not fitting in well with the holes you just had to slide them into. Yeah, sometimes these figures, like, the assembly is kind of an afterthought, or like, the planning just, I don't know, something changes along the way and then the holes get smaller or the pegs don't fit correctly and it sucks. But what can you do? Also, the lighting piece, I think they meant lightning piece, to put in for one of her swappable swords was giving me an anxiety attack since I felt like I was going to break something. That is never a good feeling from experience. I'm glad you assumingly didn't break anything. There was just a lot of parts of this figure that wasn't easy to put in with the figure, and it definitely made me more cautious buying figures with dynamic poses, since I feel like they might be tough to assemble more than others. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, but I don't think you should let it stop you if you really enjoy a certain sculpt, you know what I mean? The other figure I love so much that came out this year is Wave Suki Uzaki cow pattern figure from Uzaki-chan. The figure was very easy to assemble. Suki's expression look with the cow bikini outfit is both adorable and sexy, and I especially love the fluffy base it comes with. I want to see more figures tackle making these kind of bases because I think it's pretty cool to brush your fingers on a character base. Just gives it a little extra value for something I never knew I'd like. Yeah, you know, I don't necessarily love or hate fluffy bases, but there's usually a time and a place. I think it makes more sense when the characters are like laying down or maybe like kneeling so you don't scuff up the paint of their, you know, skin and whatnot. But yeah, it's a nice figure. I like cow bikinis, so I don't know, easy one for me to like, I guess, though I don't own it. I've actually never read or watched Uzaki-chan. Maybe I should, I don't know. Nika, favorite figure of the year is definitely Apex's Ningguang. The wooden box / crate on that one was ludicrous, but she was totally worth it. Seems to be the popular opinion. That box, kind of annoying, but in the end, the figure lives up to the hype. Mei Hughes is up next. I got some really nice figures this year, but I think an easy winner was the Eastream Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. I know this was a popular figure with a lot of people, but I am just floored with how good it looks for the price. Less than $200 with shipping, and he is an easy standout in any collection. I did get the monochrome version because I love the dark colors, but I definitely understand why people prefer the full color. My only gripe is the foot peg is plastic and not metal. I mean, that wouldn't matter too much if the figure isn't too heavy, so I say don't stress that unless it just feels like it's gonna be a problem. But I do like that figure quite a bit. I think it's Gojo's best, and it's kind of sad that Eastream started off so strong with this really affordable Gojo, and then every single other figure they made is like 36,000 yen or something. It sucks. But I really love how expressive this figure is. I think it looks properly cool. Honorable mention goes to the Joker and Akechi figures that came out by Mega House. I know a lot of people slept on those figures, but they came out so much better than the images implied. Possibly one of the best Jokers on the market and easily the best Akechi. They nailed his face. I do think you need to get them together though, so not as cost friendly. That's the problem with Persona. It feels like you're gonna have to buy every figure, right? But yeah, Mega House seems to be doing a really good job with those, like I mentioned earlier. Nikensi Collects. My favorite figure that I got for 2022 is Steins Gate's Makise Kurisu Bare Leg Bunny version. I don't have a favorite figure in general. They're all too cute and cool in their own ways. It is kind of tough to choose a favorite, or at least like your number one favorite. I could definitely give you like a top 10, but it gets harder after that. But yeah, I think that's our first bunny that we mentioned, which is odd because people love buying bunnies. I don't know if my audience does, but it certainly seems like people can't get enough. of those dang things, so it's nice to see some representation here, especially for the bare legs, because, again, that just feels like people don't like bare legs as much as stockings. So this is kind of unique in its own way, right? Carlos Alberto Garcia Jimenez. First, so you are a demon girl lover. Let's shake hands from a cultured man to another. If I could, I would. I'll have to meet you in person one day. Second, my favorite 2022 figure is the Lapland Elites 2 1/7 Premium version. She is one of my favorite Arknights characters, and Apex Toys did a fine job on recreating her Elite 2 artwork, and her price was the cherry on top, only $160. I'm pretty sure if this was Furyu or Alter, it would have cost over $300. Furyu, absolutely. Alter, maybe. This is like another case of Apex Toys being really pro-collector, wanting to make sure that you can get characters and scales that you really love for prices that really aren't that bad at all. When you look at this figure, you can tell a lot of work is going into it, and I like it quite a bit. This monochrome color palette is really cool. You know, I'm not a big fan of monochrome figures all the time, but considering that's just how this character apparently looks, I think it works quite well, and she's got a really unique face. There's a lot to like about this one. I think Ken reviewed it, which is why I'm a little familiar with it, but yeah, really cool figure, I like it. Lisbeth Hodges. I know it's a bit basic, but I was super excited to get the human New Moon version of Inuyasha's Papa Parade figure this year. I've noticed Papa Parades can be hit or miss, but that one, both of his really, were instant hits for me. I mean, that's why they make them, right? Like, people might not always be on board with all these Papa Parades, but you only need that one to really excite you, right? Like, I got the Guts figure this year, or last year, and I really loved it. It's a little different, it's very big, but, you know, we don't really get Inuyasha figures ever, right? I can't recall, so the fact that they're just making all these Inuyasha characters, and you particularly love it, is a sign that the Papa Parade line is working, and I think that's pretty cool. All right, here we have Paige Gaines. My favorite figure of this year has to be Alter's Flandre, which is not out yet, but let's keep reading. I recently got into Toho this year and did start with the embodiment of Scarlet Devil. Flandre kicked my ass, of course, but I really adore her design and simple character. That said, I was not ready for Alter's figure. It completely blew me away, and despite its high price tag, I'm biting the bullet. I know for a fact that it'll be hard to get after release, so I'm gonna save myself a little trouble. I mean, I'm right there with you. I think that's gonna be one of my best figures in the collection, not of just the year, but of everything I own. It looks that good. If we're talking about already released figures, then I have to give props to Spirit Tales Corone for being so cute and looking pretty one-to-one with both the prototype and the art the doggo is based on. It seems like we're on the same wavelength here. I don't know if we're related or something, but we seem to have the exact same taste. So, good taste. Is that really another Ando that commented on this video? That's just kind of funny. I'd say some of my favorite figures for 2022 are the 1/4 freeing Yuna from Kuma Bear and the 1/7 Wings in Katsuaki, previously named Shoshu. Great video as always, and I can't wait to see your 2023 pre-orders. Yeah, that's getting pushed back a little bit because we got a lot to talk about in the coming weeks. But anyway, yeah, the Samurai Girl is fucking awesome, and Yuna from Kuma Bear is really cute, and I love her, like, bear puppets, if I'm thinking of the right figure. It's weird that they took them away when they made the bare leg version of that character. I don't know why you would do that. I guess it's different, but seems like the worst product. But anyway, very cute. I like it. Shadow Elite HD, Mr. JRPG. Favorite I'm gonna have to go with is the Rayla Marcellus 1/7 scale. I am not familiar with this one. I'm gonna go look her up really quick. Okay, I'm just gonna put this here for now. I'll give you guys a better resolution of this figure, but I need to like look at it and kind of have it here for some, I don't know, it's just bothering me not doing that. But yeah, this is Rayla Marcellus from Fat Company, and it's really reasonably priced, considering Fat Company has horrible prices these days, and they're also delaying all their figures by like half a year. I honestly would not be surprised if this company's going out of business, but that's just my speculation. I don't know, just kind of want to put that out there in case it happens. But yeah, I feel like I've seen this one before, but I never really seen many people talk about it. I'm not sure if this is a Raita design, but it certainly looks like it proportionally. I do like this like polka dot bikini and the colors on this figure, and of course, I'm loving these angles that they've chosen for this figure's photo shoot, so to speak. I can understand why you like this one, certainly. Sorry, I was just, I don't know, whatever. Okay, moving on. Ludi, my best figure of 2022 would probably be Mauve by Rocket Boy. Decent quality, the chocolate base complements the figure very well, and she's nice from various angles. She's just very easy to like, nothing daring or polarizing about it. I remember that figure, and I remember feeling the exact same way, like I didn't feel compelled to get it, but I liked looking at it, which is strange. I don't know. Honorable mentions goes to Stronger's blonde Kizuna Ai. The blonde hair makes her stand out from the rest, the pose is exciting, and every piece of the outfit is fire. Quality is really good too. Did that come out this year, or is that something you just picked up this year? Either way, I agree. I think she looks better with blonde hair, or at least that figure did. It was always very bold, and like, I don't know, it always caught my attention. I really liked it, not enough to buy it because I didn't watch her at all, but yeah, that's like an underrated pick. I like that one quite a bit. But with that, I think we are actually done. So if you submitted a comment or a message, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. It was a lot of fun doing this, and hopefully you enjoyed this gigantic opinion piece. Again, I apologize if I missed one, but it's a little hard. Sometimes like the messages don't really get fed to me correctly, and naturally some are just gonna get a little lost, especially when I'm trying to get like all of them in one like big chunk at the same time. But I do want to talk about one more thing before we go, and that is actually this channel. I want to do a bit of a channel update, as well as a bit of reflecting on the year prior, because it's actually been 1 year since I started. Not only are we in a new year, but it's also a 1 year anniversary for me. And I don't think that's anything too special, but I do want to just kind of talk about it. So if you're interested in seeing where this channel's going and whatnot, stay tuned. I'll try and keep it brief, but you know me. So yeah, a year ago, I just randomly decided to finally start doing videos on figures. I've been collecting for a very long time, but it never really crossed my mind to do this. I have made videos on other things like Smash Brothers or just video game reviews, but I never really thought anyone would want to watch figure reviews like that. But clearly I was wrong, because there is an audience for this, even if it is kind of still in its like smaller state. It's definitely growing more and more each day, not necessarily here, but just like in the grand scheme of anime figure collecting, right? So yeah, I think it was a weird choice for me to do a video on a Nendoroid of all things, especially one as niche as Cotton from the Cotton series. But I had a lot of fun making it, and I do think that video holds up to a degree. The script reading isn't particularly great, but I do think for a first attempt, it was pretty good. But yeah, you know, I just had like steady ideas. I started doing news, I started doing pre-order roundups and reviews and unboxings and all that crap. And you know, I found my footing a little bit. It seems like doing news is what garners the most views, because it's just naturally the most interesting thing in the community. New figures are coming out, and I don't necessarily have to buy them to talk about them. That was kind of the idea behind doing news videos. I'm not gonna have infinite income to keep making reviews and unboxings, so how about I just talk about them and tell you guys what's on the horizon, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm pretty happy. Even if I just end up being the news guy, I think that's totally fine. But I think I could improve all of my content. I don't think I'm necessarily upset with how my videos turn out, but I always think I can improve upon them. And that is basically my goal for this year, just get better at every single type of video I do. But I do want to add a like 5th type of video, and that would be the evergreen video. Now, if you don't know what an evergreen video is, it's essentially just like an idea, a video essay, just a video in general where you can come back to it at any time. A lot of my content is very timely. If you're not, you know, around to watch the One Fest Winter 2023 video during winter, then that video is gonna be irrelevant in like a month or two, because all of that news is old, and then those things are gonna come out and you won't know about it, so you gotta like watch the news videos instead, or the pre-order roundups rather, and they get left in the dust, which makes sense. They're really just like timely and they're in the moment kind of videos. But I want to make stuff regarding like topics around the anime figure community. Just like things you might take for granted, fun ideas, like, I don't know, top 10s, or like the most basic idea behind like an evergreen video, and they do good, and I'm sure I'll do a couple of those, but I would rather go a little bit weirder, if that makes sense, or a little less conventional is what I should rather say. And I don't want to talk about any ideas too much because I'm not sure myself, and they're going to take a while to make, I would be happy if I made a couple this year because let's be, real. There's a lot of videos to make. I bought a lot of figures and there's a lot of news to cover. So finding the time to do all of those things is going to be a little tricky. But if I can make something fun that people could come back to at any time, I'll be happy. So that's kind of like my end game of this year, right? I want to do a couple of those if I can find the time. But I would say don't expect any of that until like maybe the second half of the year. I don't know. I just like thinking about all the figures that are coming out. I feel like I'm going to be talking about a lot of new things, so I don't even want to really think about that right now. But it's on the mind. I'm going to be planning some new things in the future. Other things, let me see. I wrote down a couple of ideas and whatnot. Camera. I do want to get a camera. I do think the channel needs a camera upgrade. I'm using my phone, and it's very helpful to have a smartphone. And, the quality ain't that bad, but I think it could be better. I am doing research, but it's kind of scary to just, go out and spend $1,000+ on something, and then it's not exactly what you want. And I totally understand that buying a camera is not going to just magically make my videos better. I know I gotta learn how to use the equipment, but I think, when I'm talking about all of these, beautiful sculpts and whatnot, I think they deserve the best footage possible, or at least to my, capability, whatever I can film. I'm certainly, not that talented when it comes to filming videos like that, but I'm trying. I'm learning slowly as we make every new video, right? So that's the idea. Get a camera sometime this year, hopefully sooner rather than later. I did buy new lights. I know I've talked about that before. I bought this desk off of Amazon just so I could have something that wasn't hideous while I was sitting there. And I did buy a new microphone, but I'm not using it right now. I actually don't like it that much. It's supposed to go on the camera, but I just don't like the sound quality of it. I like this. This just sounds so good. So I think I bought the wrong thing. But I might keep it anyway because it's useful to have if I'm moving around and stuff. But there is, there's that. But I think those are the main points I had to talk about. Collection video. Sometimes I get asked, hey, Zuko, when are you doing your collection video? I want to see it. Well, this room sucks. Just to be clear, I've moved once, and I'm waiting to move again. This is like a temporary living situation, and I don't really want to go hard decorating. In fact, I don't really even have the space nor the furniture to display all of my stuff in this place. I do have a couple extra bookshelves, and I actually have another glass case that's gigantic in another room. But I don't even know if I'm going to keep it because it's kind of old. It doesn't look very good. But it is real glass. It's been in my family for years. They were going to throw it out and I just took it from them. But I'm not sure. I have to see where I'm moving, if it'll even fit in there. But yeah, it's something I really want to do. But truth be told, I just can't. I will do it. I hopefully will do it by the end of this year. That would be a nice goal of mine. And the thing about my collection video is that when I move, and I will likely be moving with my partner, my girlfriend, she also collects, right? So she's gonna have a bunch of figures as well, and we have to combine all of our stuff into one giant, collection. In a couple of rooms, I don't know how we're gonna do it. I have more figures and slightly more video games than her, but she also collects both of those things. She got me into video game collecting, and I kind of got her into figure collecting. And she also collects vinyls. We got a bunch of plushies and stuff like that. Just countless things. But I would love to do that. And it's going to be fun when I showcase everything and I get to show you, okay, this is my stuff, this is her stuff. It's just I don't know. But yeah, that is on the docket. Eventually I will do that, but not anytime soon. I thought about a Patreon, but I'm not going to open it yet. I would love to do it, but I don't think I'm ready. And that kind of goes back to I think I can improve my videos. If I don't think my videos are worth paying for, then why would anybody pay for them? I know it's really just like a tip jar at this point. People just open a Patreon so that you could support them and keep doing what they're doing, and I would really appreciate that, but I just don't feel like right now is the time. Maybe in the future, but I guess you could let me know if you would support something like that, but I don't plan to open it. I guess things could change, but just not right now. P.O. Box would also be fun, but again, that assumes people want to send me stuff, and I'm not opening a P.O. Box in this house. Absolutely not. I don't want to have to worry about like canceling that in a couple of months, so we'll just not do that at all right now. Somewhere along the lines, I lost my train of thought there, and I forgot what the last thing I said was. So yeah, improvements are coming. 10,000 subs would be nice by the end of the year. Hopefully I get a new camera in the near future. And yeah, thanks for sticking around, and I hope to be here next year to do the same thing all over again. I guess with that, we are done. If you want to support the channel, like the video, subscribe if you aren't already, maybe shop at one of my affiliate links down below, and stay cool. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.